Hey Queens, it's your girl Tamika. Make sure to stay tuned to the very end so that you can learn how you can win a special gift from me, Mrs. Wisconsin, United States. Hi Queens, and welcome to another episode of Destined Discussions. Get ready because you are all in for a real treat. We have a special guest with us today. She was recently just featured on this week's Queen's Quote. She is a phenomenal woman of vision and purpose. Her very presence speaks volumes, and I'm thankful to say that she is one of my mentors and friend. She is none other than the Dana World-Patterson. So I want you all to take a look at our recent interview where she shares her heart, the road toward her destined journey, and elaborates on why she stands by the quote, "It's okay to be better." Take a look. And I'm super excited. I'll just give you a little brief bio about who she is, and she is definitely a queen in her own right, a definite powerhouse, and I'm so excited to have her here with me today. So here's a little bit about her. She has devoted over 30 years to teaching etiquette and image and has served thousands of individuals through her love to see people be better. The past 14 years have been a deep dive into eradicating human trafficking. Dana joined forces as a founding member of the County Human Trafficking Task Force, and then she transitioned as chairperson of the Human Trafficking Task Force of Greater Milwaukee, an affiliate of City of Milwaukee Office of Violence Prevention. Within this time, Dana World-Patterson also established Foundations for Freedom, Inc., which is a 501c3 not-for-profit entity specializing in strengthening women and girls to reduce ignorance and vulnerabilities through advocacy, awareness, education, housing, and prevention to end human trafficking. Dana World-Patterson holds a master's degree in educational leadership from UW-Oshkosh and a bachelor's degree in speech pathology from Jackson State University. And she is currently pursuing a master's degree in clinical mental health counseling. All right. Now, if this isn't somebody who's a powerhouse, I don't know what is. Okay. Dana believes that it's okay to be better. Right. And she believes that she was born for such a time as this. And in addition to all of those things, guys, she is also fire and police commissioner, author, teacher, radio host, world traveler, creative, mother, wife, and a very good friend. And I'm so honored to be able to have her with me today. You all, please, I'm going to introduce to some Dana World-Patterson. Others, you know her, you love her. Come on in, Mrs. Dana World-Patterson.
Hello.
Hi. I'm so honored and happy to have you here today. How are you?
I'm excellent. Feeling good. It's Friday. Well, maybe not Friday all over the world, but I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Yes, it's Friday. So we're gonna have a powerful discussion, right? Because that's what we do here at Destined Discussions. We have powerful discussions with powerful women. The first thing I want to do is highlight your quote because you were featured on Queen's Quote for this week. And so I am going to highlight that and then we'll get into the discussion. It's okay to be better. I love it. I love that quote simply because just first of all, just reading through your bio, it resonates, through you that this is what you believe. And so just to start off the discussion, because when I saw your quote, I thought of three things that came to my mind that I wanted to kind of discuss today. Those three things are faith, business, and marriage. Okay. But before we get into those things, I want you to just tell us a little bit about your quote, maybe why you chose it, and how does it exemplify you in today's society.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tamika, for allowing me to join you on this platform. Congratulations to you. I think it is phenomenal And I trust that you will continue to soar in the things that are in your heart, which brings me to a place of it's okay to be better. Every day I wake up thinking about, and how can I be better? Actually, this quote was birthed from a place of misery. I was finding myself even more. I love confidence. And I was really having trouble around that with other people. But I had to become comfortable with myself in being a confident woman, being one who is assured and knows herself and knows her God. And that quote came to me that it is okay to be better. It takes nothing away from anyone else for me to be better, for you to be better, for us to be walking in the gifts that we have. And I held on to it. And it allowed me to catapult to a space of, I'm good. Every day I'm thinking about it. Every day I'm improving. How can I be better? And it's okay.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
That is so good. It's so good because I believe that a lot of women struggle with that piece that you talked about as far as confidence. I know for me, I was one who even struggled in that area of confidence and really not tapping into all of who God created me to be. And I think you said something that can really lead us right into that faith piece about knowing your God, right?
Yes.
Knowing who he is and knowing who he is in your life. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how faith really catapulted you into business, helping other women and girls grow in that area of confidence? And
I've given myself permission to live out loud. There was a time when, especially, I've been married now 25 years, but there was a time when I held it to myself. I didn't live out loud because I'm tall, my shoulders are broad, I'm beautiful, things like that. You don't want to disrupt other people. But as I became more comfortable with who I was, my God became bigger as well. And I truly believe that we are not designed to live our lives with a bushel over us. We're a light that sits on a hill that cannot be hidden, right? We cannot be hidden. So, in that space of learning more about who I am, it became more vocal. My faith became more vocal. And why would I want to hide a God that is so good to me? That's so good to my family, my friends, when I look around and even consider my heritage, that it was my parents who taught me the life of loving God and being Christ like. It was their parents who embraced it as well. And even going another generation that I know of that loved God. So here I am today having the opportunity to learn and grow and excel. And I know that it's all because there's a good God that is forever causing me to be triumphant, that is forever giving me increase. And I want to celebrate that. It is all of who I am.
yes.
All of who I am. And I'm in the marketplace. I've had the pleasure of serving in the local church, but my heart beats when I'm out and about, when I'm able to influence. And I know we'll talk about business and things like that, but my heart lifts when I'm outreaching, when I'm having the opportunity to tell someone else about a good God. And it's not so much that you have to believe what I say. I want my life to exude what I believe. And so
Wow.
I get to do that. That's part of the equation of living life out loud and choosing to be better
Yeah.
every single day.
Yes, I love it. And one thing that you said that really, really rang loud to me is your faith to become vocal. I think that's a true key piece. And basically, when you talk about shining your light, right? Because I think I was one who struggled with this. I don't know if some women that are watching have struggled with this, but that instinct to be silent, right? To be silent about some of those things that are really pressing on you that will actually, if you be vocal about it, lift you to a place then where you're able to lift other people. And that's actually what I hear you saying. And I just feel like to know you is to love you, and to see that light shine through that you exude to other women and girls often.
Thank you.
Yes.
You know what else is important in that space? I believe that God is so instrumental in our space to grow. He wants our lives to be a testimony. He wants us to encourage someone else. So when you look at the good, the bad, and the ugly, the more you become comfortable with yourself, you can share that with an open hand. It's like, you know what, baby? I've been through it, got the t-shirt, and listen, you can either learn from me or go on and get those hard knocks yourself, right?
Period.
So, period. So there's so many times when I would say to women in particular, pinch me, baby. It's like, yes, I've been through some things, but I'm still here. God has saw to it that I'm still here and I'm standing, fully convinced that I serve a faithful God in the midst of everything that I've been through. And again, the good and the bad, and even misery. When I think about my son who was diagnosed early, I lived that out loud because I want diagnosed with kidney dysfunction. I wanted other people to know, number one, what my son said, that all the earth will know that there is a God in Milwaukee that healed Jordan-Patterson. So it's those incidents that we're able to lift God up in the midst of what we're going through. It just highlights that this life is worth living. And I can't imagine living life without God. I can't imagine facing some of the things that I do on a daily basis and having the courage to walk with the women that I walk with without knowing God, knowing Him for myself.
Yes, I love that. And I do agree. I believe that is a true key piece of this puzzle that we call life. And so I want to kind of tap into that when you talk about the women and girls that you have the privilege and honor and the passion to serve. I want to talk about how you got there. I know that you, in your bio, you talked a little bit about how you were in a position to kind of give etiquette classes to women and girls. And then you came upon a time when you were trying to figure out why the atmosphere in the space was kind of heavy. And you asked the question. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So it began with just the love. When I consider etiquette and image, our parents taught us that. We learned at the table. We learned kindness. We learned manners. We learned table settings. We learned to be considerate. All of those things we were taught. And I feel privileged because there are some people that don't know how to hold a fork, that are grown, that are business-like. So it's a
because you talking about me. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm so close. Let me teach you how to hold a fork, girl. Don't be going around here looking like that. Let me show you how to hold a fork.
It's okay to be better. Look, show me. Okay.
Every single day. Listen, this weekend, come Monday, you're going to know how to hold a fork.
Okay.
Yeah, but the importance of, so I was taught that early on, and it just resonated within me. It was something that I loved early on. Matriculating, as I was growing up in life, I held on to those things that some people would say are niceties, but for me, it was normal. So the opportunity of loving women and girls came as I learned myself. And it chiseled down to, I had already had my undergrad degree. I was with some friends, And I said, I'm going to open an etiquette school. Just like that. The name came to me. I said, I'm going to open an etiquette school. And I started that course telling people. But the beautiful thing about it is that people could already identify with the fact that I would be qualified to teach it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was, and I'm not boasting on myself at all. It's the journey that I've had. So through that process of teaching etiquette and image and having the opportunity to interface with hundreds, now thousands of women and girls and men and boys about how to be better, how to be confident from the inside out. It was a nice way for me to insert my faith without talking about my faith, as I'm talking about confidence and being better from the inside out. And as time went on, because now who is a very good friend and one of my mentors, Martha Love, knowing that my faith was strong, knowing that I had interfaced with thousands of women and girls, she said, "Hey, are you familiar with human trafficking?" I'd never heard the term. I would say we're all comfortable, and we not comfortable, but we're all familiar with the term pimps and prostitutes. We're familiar with that term, but the twist that the law gave us around human trafficking was a was it just opened us all up. She said, "Come with me." We began to learn and grow. There was a question before the county, and that's when it was the County Human Trafficking Task Force. We're learning, we're growing. Martha and I became very good friends. We had our bag. We're like, we'll travel wherever we go. If you'll open the door, we're coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're beating the drum. We're beating the drum. We're saying, not in our neighborhood and not in yours. Not in our neighborhood, not in yours. And it continued to allow that the beginning to expand because everyone was learning. We were moving past the narrative that this is an inner city Black girl problem because we were talking about at that time 32 million women and girls.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me, $32 billion, 27 million women and girls. So this is big business.
Wow.
And while we're learning and growing and opening doors and going in where people are saying, oh no, it can't be here, that's when that narrative for us, we're like, we have to change this. It's not just an inner city Black girl with no father, poverty, and I added eating flour and water.
Mm.
And then as you explained in the beginning, the opportunity to interact with these women and the girls in the school, I asked. It was a wonderful mentoring group, 15 girls, and I asked, how many of you have been how many of you have been touched inappropriate? And to my dismay, 14 of the 15 girls raised their hand.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, because I was asking God, how can my work around etiquette and image parallel where I'm still strengthening women and girls and not have to move off this trajectory? I love strengthening women and girls this way through etiquette and image. How
Mm-hmm.
can now human trafficking parallel where it will cause me to continue to learn and grow? I asked the question. I had no idea that 14 of the 15 girls would raise their hand.
Mm.
But that became a part of the puzzle that I needed because it was a cry for help. God is amazing. I had started going from school to school and I'm thinking, what's going on with the girls? Because usually when I walk in, it's like, hey, Miss World-Patterson,
Mm-mm.
hey. And I'm starting to see this shift with the girls, and I'm asking literally from school to school, I'm asking, what's going on? God, what's
Mm.
going on? What's going on? And that question, I had no idea I was going to ask it that day, but that was imperative. And the
Mm-hmm.
launching pad for me to know, where I knew when I walked out of that school, that I had what I needed to strengthen women and girls that have been sex trafficked or touched inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are today.
Wow. Wow. That's such an amazing story because I love how you stated that there was one piece that was needed. And when you got that piece, boom,
Exactly.
it took off.
Exactly.
Um, and I think that's testament as to why your heart is so big when it
Mm.
comes to working with these women and girls, because honestly, not everybody can do that. Not everybody can do that. And so
Mhm.
I commend you for that. I'm so appreciative that you are
Thank you.
in that in this arena, and I'm happy to be a part of it with you as well. But also just tapping into that question about being touched inappropriately. And I
Mhm.
think like it happens more often than we think.
Mhm.
And when a lot of times when people think of human trafficking or sex trafficking, they think that this is something that these girls have chosen to do,
Mhm.
or they, they kind of got into this life because it was cool, or whatever. Just it's just a whole lot of misconceptions behind
Exactly.
this area of work. And
Mhm.
so what is one message that you would give someone who kind of is uneducated in this area, as it relates to the work that you do for women and girls?
Hmm. That we're talking about human beings and the understanding of, and to lead with compassion.
I love that. Yes.
We
Hmm.
must. It's if we remember our space when we were in the mud, when we were not our best, whoever that was that extended their hand to us, if they came to us foul, they didn't get much. But if you go humbly, if you approach from a place that I love you, sis, you're good with me, I don't care what you've been through, I'm here for you. We have seen worlds open up and walls come down.
Yes.
And then I would say it's also important to learn,
Hmm.
because there is indeed a splitting of the hair. And I've been in this 14 years and I'm still learning. There's still so much to learn. So within that space, we know about pimping. We know about, the world will say hoeing. We know about prostitution. But even in that space, and I've even learned that even the pimps, they don't want to be there. They've been taught. They've been groomed. And many of them, I won't say settle, but in that space and circumstances, life turns that way. For the women that have been trafficked, it's through force, fraud, and coercion. No one wakes up saying, "Oh, I can't wait to sell my body all day long, day in and day out, taking on these appetites and behaviors." Who wakes up to say that?
Mm-hmm.
Who can't wait to live a life like that? That's an error. No one chooses that. And if you're a child, it's immediately based on the law human trafficking because children cannot consent to sex. So that gives us another point of reference. The first girl that raised her hand in that high school, her grandfather had been touching her.
Mm.
And when she shared that with her grandmother, now, one, she's living with her grandparents. Where are her parents? One might ask.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, she's living with her grandparents, and now her grandmother, who should be trusting her, doesn't believe her. She said, "Get out of my face. Your grandfather would never do that. You're just fast."
Mm-hmm.
My heart broke
Mm-hmm.
because this is the girl that when I wasn't there, she was slamming doors, walking in and out of out of the classrooms, cussing people out, just causing a ruckus. And The teacher said she's nothing like that when she's with you and in this classroom. I would have never known that. So the answer, what helped me in resolving that, the acting out that we see oftentimes is just a cry for help. These
Mm-hmm.
girls, they're saying, will someone please ask me the right question?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not bad. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
fast. Something is going on in my life. I
Mm-hmm.
want someone to trust that I can tell. And that place has given me the sensitivity where I am today. I'll never forget her. And I hope to one day see her again. That life didn't spin out for her. You understand? So
Yes,
it's a place
absolutely.
of compassion and learning.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Such good wisdom in those two concepts that you gave, and then you know hearing what you're saying as far as the labeling, um, that's playing a key piece, and we even do that outside of this space. You know what I mean? It's like labeling people, making them feel lower or beneath, and not even calling them the name that God has given them. You know,
Mhm.
it's a shame. And then it just sounds like that it's a lot of elements
Oh my.
to this space,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And so I just appreciate you sharing your wisdom and knowledge today. I did want to kind of go in a different direction, because I was looking at your bio here, and it seems like you're a woman who wears many hats. And I know as a woman who is married that can be, you have to grow into that space of wearing the many hats that God has called you to wear, as
Mhm.
well as take on and take care of a household. So I want to kind of flow into the area of marriage. For those women out there who are seeking marriage or wanting to be married, first, can you give us a little background story about your journey towards marriage?
Oh, absolutely. This is my second rodeo. And this year will be 26 years old. Yes. Second one. The
Yay!
first marriage, we didn't see our second anniversary. I'd say it took longer for us to plan that beautiful wedding and have that great party than we were together. We were together, which is so, so sad. But it's the truth. And
Mm-hmm.
I learned so much from that space of with my first husband. And when I told Giles, I said, I'm so much better. I'm coming with a different set of eyes. My lens is different. And it doesn't have to be that way for everyone, but that's just my story.
Mm-hmm.
That I've said I'm so much better as a result of it. And marriage, it's definitely a mystery how the two become one. We
Mm-hmm.
understand that. I don't care where we start, how in love you are, that space of gelling together where I'm thinking it and he says it is a part of where we are now. It's a nice, nice groove, but it has come with many toils and turns, honey, and lots of squiggles along the way. And marriage is that. And I think that we should expect it. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, I got the right one. I have the right one. I wouldn't trade this journey for anything because of my personality, the my constant desire to be better. He has held on, is like, okay, where we're going now, as I'm thinking, because as an entrepreneur, I'm always thinking of something else, always thinking of newness. How can I improve? And he has not tried to hold me down, not one day, not 1 second.
That's good, and that's key, because we need that as
Yes.
women in a marriage. And I want to just ask you, how did you know that he was the one? Like, how did you know that? Because,
Mhm.
and I guess I asked that question because I too am one who is on a second marriage, and I know for a fact that my husband is the one. Like, he is who I'm supposed to be with for the rest of my life. But I guess just listening in on you, and I want to glean from your wisdom and know, and let our viewers know, how did you know that he was the one?
Early on, again, that goes to the peace of God for me. I've matured in a space that, so we're talking, it will be 26 years in May. But I've always relied on the peace of God, where I knew, even for my first marriage, I didn't have peace. And I jumped over it. I made excuses for it. But my relationship with God is like, if there's no peace in, oh, I'm stopping. I've come to that place now. But there was the maturing in that, where the peace of God indeed leads. And so we were friends. You know, when we met, it was at our church, and my sister-in-law, she was like, I don't know you, but my brother-in-law, this is really her. My brother-in-law, he's a really nice guy. Are you seeing anyone? And I'm like, you're right. I don't know you. Who are you? But from that point, I began to watch him, and this is where our stories get a little different. But I began to watch him watch me, right?
Okay.
And as friends, we would hang out. We would all study the word together, go to pizza together. Just that young, youthful courtship stuff, where we were just friends. And then as we began to like each other, and this brother, I'm like, how long is it going to be before you ask me out? So one day, as we're kind of lingering after church, I said, would you like to go to lunch? And we talked and we chatted. And ever since, he called me every day at 9:00. That phone was going to ring. I was seeing someone else. And we were just friends. We were just friends getting to know each other. But as that turned, we had the conversation about, we've been there, smelled the coffee, we've done things the way we should not do it. Let's trust God and start this out the way we want our lives to be, where we're trusting God, where we're depending on him because we know his voice. So early on, there were some things that we were used to. Like I remember saying to my friend, I don't know, he don't do me like that, you know? And she was like, girl, don't let him get away. You just wait. You just wait. Everything you need to be turned on will be in time. And it just slowed me down. It's like, don't expect the things of God doing it the way of the world. And so we both, it was then like 6 months later, we were married when we started dating. When I let that other guy go, where I knew that wasn't right, it's like, I don't want to marry you. I don't. I'm with you, but I don't want to marry you. And Giles was like, I'll help you get over it.
Go on, Pastor Giles.
Okay. And that was the end of that. You know, I just knew that this guy was for me, and he had a heart for God, which was very attractive. Very, very attractive. I used to call him my thesaurus, because I could say, where's that scripture? Boom. Where's that scripture? Boom. And it was just beautiful. We both had a peace of God, and we were like, okay, so I'm available on this day. Are you available? He was like, I'm available. And it was 30 days later, we were married.
Wow. That's an amazing story. And just to see you guys and know you, like, I love your energy together. Like, it's so sweet. And what I heard you say is like basically three key things, right? You be friends. You be friends first. You trust God. And then you don't try to do things the world's way, right? The way the world would expect it to happen. And so I really, really appreciate that wisdom, because there's a lot of women out here who are in that space where it's like, do I really have the right one? Like, how do I know? Or I'm waiting on him to ask me this or that, right? And I love that you was like, look, he like me. I know he do. but I don't know what's happening. Let me ask. And you asked him out, and then that because I think another thing too to keep in mind is that some men, not all, but they are not really vocal in that way. They have more of a laid back type of demeanor. I think my husband is that way, more of a laid back type demeanor, where they kind of are just, they go with the flow. You know what I mean? Which means, to me, sometimes I be feeling like my husband trusts God more than me. I'm like, what? Like,
Yes.
So I love that. I love that. It's such amazing relationship. And
I would also like to share, Tamika, that we made a decision to close the back door.
What does that mean?
Meaning that in the tough times, we weren't going to threaten with, I'm leaving. There was no revolt. Early on, we used to tease each other in those serious moments and say, well, you're stuck with it. Like, because the fact is, nothing's going to change until we change, right? And when you're bringing two people together, God knew what he was talking about when he said, it's a mystery how the two shall become one. So now you have two people needing to submit to each other in all things. And through that space, there's turmoil. And if I don't change, if he didn't change, it's like, okay, I'm not going to run out the back door. You're stuck with it. And we began to laugh about that just to, to give us some peace in the space of this is tough. But that was it. It was like, no, I'm not running to mama. I'm not running to my girlfriends. I'm not running out the back door. We have to figure it out.
Wow. And I love that so much. And I laugh because I can honestly think about times in my own relationship where I be looking like, huh? And so it's funny to me to say you stuck with it. I'm like, okay, right. Yeah.
You stuck with it, baby.
But that's such good wisdom, because it's like, if you truly believe that God has brought you to this space of marriage, I honestly believe that marriage is a ministry that I've been called to. And so it's like, when you know that he's brought you to this space, then you have to, again, like you said, no thing changes until we change.
That's right.
So if I'm not making those changes within myself, and I see something in you, I see more in you than I'm able to even turn around and look at myself about, then that's the problem. You know what I'm saying?
That's a huge problem.
Yes, because I should be able to see me first.
That's living intentional. I remember we were in New York City for our 10th anniversary and probably had the biggest argument that we had ever had. In New York City, my favorite kind of stomping grounds, right? And I'm thinking, our solace was, there's enough that I can say about you that I don't care for, and enough that you can say about me that you don't care for, that will have us in a place and in a deep place where we can't move, right? So how about I work on me, you work on you, and let's keep going.
Yeah.
And with that agreement, we were able to enjoy the rest of our vacation. It's like, yeah, because you're stuck with it, right? So it's like, okay, I'm going to work on me. Just give me the space to work on me to be better. And I'm going to give you that room, your space to be better, because I love you. That part hasn't changed. Yes. This part will need to tweak. The two coming together, the two agreeing, we're going to need to tweak. Something needs to give. So in that space of, I don't always have to be right. And he has always been one that he didn't always have to be right. I probably taught him that toughness. Like, where'd you come from? He was like, I learned it from you. I'm like, yeah. You don't have to be right in marriage. Just to find that space where we can agree and move on.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I love this discussion that we had today. And, I know we're running short on time, but I want to highlight your quote again. It's okay to be better. I love that so very much. Thank you for sharing that with me and the women and girls that will see this. And then just a final thought as we get ready to close out. I want you to share one, tell us what's next for you, because I know that you're working on a lot of things, good things, just to continue to lift women and girls. And so just tell us a little bit about that. And then lastly, give us one thought that we can take and marinate on for the rest of the month, because we won't see each other because we do destined discussions once a month. So if you could just do that for me, and then we'll close out.
Okay. So, one thing that is very important to me in my work is, as we're listening and our ears to the pavement, to continue to project what is needed in the world of eradicating human trafficking and strengthening women and girls. And it has been housing. I've known that for the past almost 7 years now. Housing, housing, housing. And now we have the pleasure of, we acquired an 8-unit apartment where we'll be working with women who have fled sex trafficking. And
Amazing.
we're excited about that, because we know that this is just the first of many where we will be able to strengthen individuals in this way. So that's one thing. And oh my goodness, the apartments are being worked on right now. So the opportunity, bit by bit, to chip away at strengthening, having women move from victimization through surviving to thriving, again, lifts my boat. I'm so excited about that. I'm also excited about the opportunity to do more work internationally. And
Mm.
this has been hidden in my heart since my mom would tell us not to get stuck on the block. She said, "Don't get stuck on this block. Dana, don't get stuck on this block. See
Mm.
the world." So the love for travel has always been within me. But God knew that before the beginning of time, that I would be called to such a time as this, where I'll need to interface with women and girls internationally. So as I'm learning and growing, the work that is being done locally also has me faced globally. And that yearning has continued to develop, where doors have opened. My heart right now is Africa, where the doors have opened in Africa, where we'll be traveling and we'll be doing our work there, and just seeing what God had in mind before the beginning of time. I'm so excited about that.
Yes, I'm excited for you. And take me with you. I want to go.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And you know this, period. And you know this, right? So that's also exciting. I mean, those are two things that are enormous. They're just enormous. So as I said, the way God works with me and the way I think as an entrepreneur, I'm constantly moving forward. I'm constantly being propelled. But I've also learned that when I first get it, doesn't mean that that's the time to move.
That's good.
I marinate. I sit with it. What are you saying, God? I allow it to become conceptualized within me before I even say it. And even this part, there would have been a time, had you asked me this a few years ago, I'm not saying a word
Mm.
until I know that I know that I know that that God has spoken to me in this way, and this is the direction. I've
Yeah,
learned not to move fast. And I
I
tell you
love.
this all the time.
Yes, and I love that, and I think that goes to the point that there's a season for everything,
Right.
right? There's a season for everything. So I love that space.
Mhm.
So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for being here with me today. And I do want to give you the opportunity to let the women know how they can connect with you. If you have a way that they can, if they're open to giving or being a part of a partner with Foundations for Freedom, Inc. How can they do that? How can they do that?
Oh, thank you so much. And I appreciate the opportunity for people to sow into Foundations for Freedom because the vision is so much bigger than one person. So that partnership means everything. But you can reach me at contact at foundations, the number 4 freedom.org if you'd like to send me an email. You can go to our website, foundations, the number 4 freedom.org. If you like to give, Cash App, $Foundations, the number 4 freedom, or you can also give through our website, which is PayPal, and yes, that's correct, and snail mail, and you will also find that on our website. So I'm just super excited, and you can call me. I mean, my cell number, because I get those numbers, I get those calls. If you need help, if you're in a place where you need someone to talk to, if you're not safe, 414-698-4187. Call us. Call us.
Yes. Thank you so very much. And again, appreciate the work you're doing. Blessed to be connected with you. And so I do believe that this has been a Destined Discussion. I think that, one of the reasons I created Destined Discussions was because I feel like if you're connected with me, then it was purpose for you to be connected with the people I'm connected to. So I think that this has given the space for that. And I'm so thankful. And so we're going to wrap this up. I thank you again so much for tuning in, ladies. Until next month, I'll see you next month. Wasn't that such a good discussion? Thank you so much for tuning in. Please let us know your thoughts and any questions that you may have down below in the comment section. And also, if you need to reach out to Dana World-Patterson, her information will be in the description box below. I love that quote that Dana World-Patterson came up with, "It's okay to be better." And I decided that when I have a queen featured, that I will find an excerpt in my book that relates to that quote. And I did just that. So I'm going to read an excerpt from my book that relates to the quote that we had this week, "It's okay to be better." Again, if you didn't know, my book title is Destined, Overcoming Shame and Defeat. And I am going to be reading from the chapter called Shameless. The experiences shared were life lessons that taught me how to identify who I am and who I want to be. I often was unsure of myself and felt intimidated by the things I didn't know and the answers I was still seeking. Some of my decisions haven't always resulted in the best outcome, which left room for me to become bitter, angry, and dissatisfied with life. However, each time I went through a challenging experience, I knew that embracing a negative mindset would not benefit my potential growth. I started making intentional efforts to feel each emotion and thought and tackle them head on. I also decided that someone who hurt me needed to know that emotion I felt, so I shared it with them. I have been in situations where people would tell me what someone else had done to them, and when I would ask if they had shared that with that individual, their answer would most of the times be no. I believe this is a massive mistake that many of us often make. It is difficult to resolve a situation with someone who doesn't know that it negatively impacted you. When we don't allow ourselves to experience our true feelings in their entirety, we miss out on the opportunity to become our best selves. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I'd like to say that I've been purposely adorned. My message to you is always adorn yourself with purpose. I'm so excited that you all have followed the rules and subscribed. This is how you can get a gift from me. So if you subscribe, thank you so very much. You are in a drawing to win a gift from me. Now, some of you have subscribed, but I don't know who you are. So if you subscribe, comment below. Yes, comment below so that I can know who you are and I can put your name in a drawing to win a special gift from me. That drawing will be happening on Facebook Live. Yes, Facebook Live. January 22nd, coming up Saturday. So stay tuned.